Good evening. Right, good evening folks, and welcome to the results of our election. We will try and be as quick as we can, because I do appreciate that some of you will be wanting to break fast at about 5:30. So those of you that have just come in, could you please come in and sit yourselves down quietly, please? Thank you very much. Okay. Just some house rules before we crack on. We're going to be, obviously, some people are going to want to clap, some people are going to cheer, but please can we show respect to all the candidates who've put a lot of work in this week. And can you just make sure that you leave your applause and cheering, if you can, to the end of each elections process, so we can keep going on as quickly as we can and try and get you through this with some haste. Just before we start, I think just to reiterate what these roles are your full-time officer roles. They will be employed by the student union to be the nominated student leaders for the next 12 months, starting in July. Their job is to represent you. Their job is to make sure that we as an organisation have our finger on the pulse, and their job is to campaign and lobby, not just here at the university, but nationally and in the local area too. I was reading some of the manifestos, interestingly enough, recently, and I've also just been working on a project with the university on their archiving. And today I was looking back at a student newspaper article from 1995, and the article was talking about sexual harassment on campus, and it was talking about student funding and the cost of living. I'm sorry to say that 30 years on, those things are still prevalent and were coming through loud and clear in the manifestos of the candidates in this election. So my message to those who are successful this evening is, please, I don't want to stand up here in another, well, it won't be 30 years' time, but another 10 years' time, and I'll still be talking about those issues. So please, I'd love you to put your heart and soul into trying to solve some of these issues that have been long-standing on campus and come back and bite us on a constant basis. Your job is to improve the lives of students at Brunel. Let's do that. Okay, so we are going to be going through the elections in the order of the President for Education will be first, the President for Student Activities will be second, and the Welfare and Inclusion President will be the third one that we go through. So, if you're all sitting comfortably, just to give you some idea about some of the numbers you're going to see, there will be numbers that will be relating to the number of votes in that particular election. There will also be a number that will say quota. The quota is essentially 50% of the valid votes plus one. So it's a majority vote that comes through. So in each election, when we put the things up, you'll see a number that says the number of students voted, and you'll see the quota. The job in the election is for that quota to be reached, and no one is elected until that quota is reached. So we will then show you the candidates and the number of votes that they have polled. The one who has polled the most at that point will not necessarily be the winner of that election. They will only be the winner of that election once they have reached the quota. So we have rounds of voting, and in each round of voting, the candidate with the least number of votes is eliminated. Now you'll remember from your voting pages on the phones that you could have a second and a third and a fourth and a fifth, if there were that number, preference of voting. So if you had voted for me and put your faith in me and put a second preference for Maria, for example, and I polled the lowest number of votes, your vote would then transfer to Maria in the next round of voting. If you didn't put a second or third preference vote on, the moment that your preferred candidate exits the polling is the moment that your vote ceases to have any influence. So that's just explaining some of the numbers. You will also see up there a candidate called Ron. Ron means reopen nominations. I hope you picked that up at the voting stage. So every student has the opportunity, if they don't believe in any of the candidates, to vote for Ron, which essentially encourages us to reopen those nominations. That will only happen if Ron exceeds the polling of all of the candidates in that election. So, without further ado, we shall move on to the numbers. So, we had 1,861 people voted in this election, and they all cast a total of 5,383 votes. If you do the maths, that pretty much shows that the vast majority of people voted in all three elections, which is fantastic to see that they've got that faith in voting for all of the officers. So again, just to mention the House rules, as we mentioned at the start, can you only clap once all candidates are on stage and have been announced, and then you can clap for and cheer for the winners as at the end of the results. Please show respect for all of the candidates, and we will be taking photography, and we are live on Instagram to those that are watching at home. So, as I've mentioned, the votes are counted in rounds. The candidates must meet that threshold, and if a vote threshold is not reached, the candidate is not elected. So, on to the count itself. So, the education president role. So can I have, please, both our candidates, which are coming up onto stage now. So please give it up, big cheers. Come on, these guys put a lot of effort in. So we've got Abhishek and Harshit here. Only two candidates in this election, so you can imagine there's not going to be a lot of rounds or transferring of votes in this election. So you can see that the threshold for votes in this election was 805. So 1,610 was the total number of votes cast in this election. So for the candidate to be successful, they would need 805 votes. So in the only round of voting, the results are Abhishek 940 votes and Harshit 581. So Abhishek is your education president for next year. Thank you very much for your enthusiasm. Thank you very much. And please, can you all, please, guys, can you all please as well, please show your appreciation for our candidate Harshit who fought hard and fair through this election. Big hand, and well done. So, up next is our student activities presidential election. So please, can we have Hafsa, Nafi and Thomas, please? Okay, so as you can see from the graphic, this was not decided on the first round of voting. So we had a threshold in the first round of 869. So that's the vote number that we need to exceed. And in the first round of voting, the results were: we had Nafi receiving 639, Hafsa on 546, and Thomas on 529. Really close stuff. So we eliminated Ron, who had 24 votes, to see if those votes were transferred. And those votes led to the results 639, 546 and 529. There were no changes. So at that point, we had to eliminate Thomas with the lowest number of votes and then see if any of his votes were transferred. At this point, our quota is reduced to 615, the winner being Nafi Khan, with Hafsa at 570. So Nafi is re-elected as the Student Activities President for 2026-2027. And again, I'd like to hear that enthusiasm for our other two candidates, please, for Thomas and Hafsa. Can I just point out to everyone there, you could see how close that election was. Guys, this is really important for those of you that may well be here to vote in the future. Second preference voting can make a difference. Very few people use the second preference voting here at Brunel, but you could see how close this election was, how close and well fought it was. Second preference voting can make a huge difference. So please think about that next time you're voting. And we've got elections coming up in 2 weeks' time. So, finally, we're moving on to our Welfare and Inclusion President. So please, can I have the candidates, please? So, we have Mohammed, we have Rems and Clement. Okay, so as you can see again, very similar numbers of votes in each of the elections. The threshold for victory in this election is 805.5. Okay, that's the number we need to exceed for success. So, in the first round of voting, Rems received 693. Mohammed received 689 and Clement received 178. This is incredibly close. We have 4 votes in it at this stage. 4 votes. 2 days of voting, 4 votes in it. 51 people had chosen to choose Ron in this election. So we shall see, we eliminate Ron, let's see whether Ron makes a difference. Ron makes a difference of 1. So we are now down to, we remove the next set, which will be Clement's vote. Clement received the least amount of votes with 178. By removing those votes, the threshold comes down to 700. As you can see, both candidates are within 11 of that threshold. So it's all down to any votes that are transferable from Clement's exclusion. So if we remove Clement's votes, the result is Rems with 702 and Mohammed with 698. And that Rems is elected as your newly elected president for 2026-27 for welfare and inclusion. Can I... Can I just say that I've been here for 22 years. The closest any election here has come to before is 15 votes. 4 votes is just unbelievable, and I hope it demonstrates the value of the transferable votes. But before we leave it there, can we please have the same level of enthusiasm for Clement and Mohammed in this election? What a close-fought election! And before we bring this to a close, I would love that enthusiasm to be presented to your new candidates. Please hold them to account. They are your representatives. They work for you. And the hard work starts now. Thank you for coming, folks, and thank you to all of our candidates and campaigners.